Hello students, welcome to Biswas tutorial. As you know that we have started the syllabus of CVAC class 10 science. We have already completed the chapters chemical reaction and equations and also the acid, bases and salt. If you have not gone through the video, you can check out the videos. I think they will be helpful. Today we are going to start a chapter other than chemistry. We will go inside physics of class 10 today. Okay, which is also a particular syllabus in your class 10 NCERT book. Okay, so in this chapter we'll be dealing about light. Okay, what is light? Light is a form of energy that help us with the sensation of sight. Like you can see me or you can see the different objects present in your home. It is because of light. Like the fan rotates in your room and makes you feel about the wind around you. Similarly, the light, okay, when the light comes from an object, it helps you to see the object. So, when we define light as a form of energy that help us with the sensation of sight. So, let us write down light is a form of energy that help us with the sensation of sight. Moreover, we know it is our eyes that help us detect light coming from the surroundings. So, as the definition suggests, light is a form of energy that help us with the sensation of sight. Moreover, it is our eyes, which is one of the most important sense organ of our body, that help us to detect the light that come from our surroundings. Now in our surroundings we can get light from luminous object and non-luminous object. I hope you will be aware of what luminous object and non-luminous object are. Okay, now let us define luminous object first of all. What are luminous object? Object that emit light of their own. Now if you talk about objects like sun, if you talk about object like tube light that is present in your home, or if you talk about the bulb, the candle, or anything that is producing light of their own are called luminous object. The object that can produce light of their own are called luminous object. We can take examples like your sun, candle, tube light, tube, bulb, etc. Anything that emit light of their own. But there are substances that does not emit light. So what are non-luminous object? Object that does not emit light of their own but reflect the light falling on them. Now, if we talk about objects like the blackboard or the pen, or you can say the wall or the fan or anything that does not emit light of their own, how can we see those objects? We can see those objects because light coming from those objects that are being reflected from those objects are perceived by our eyes. Now, if we look to a particular board, you are looking to this board. Okay, I hope you are looking to this board. If you are looking to the board, you can see what are written on the board. Why does the board emit light? Now, according to the definition, we also know that light help us with the sensation of sight, but the board does not emit light. Okay, it is reflecting the light that is coming from the tube light, and then that light is coming to your eyes, and then only you can see this non-luminous object. So all the non-luminous object, whether it is a tree or it is a table or it is a pen or anything that you are seeing in your surrounding that does not emit light of their own, okay, they reflect the light that is falling on them from the luminous object, and that light, when it is reflected from that object, is perceived in our eyes, we can see the object. Like your book, pen, pencil, wall, okay, etc. Moreover, you can also talk about moon. When we are talking about moon, we know that the moon, it actually gives us light during the night, and we also know that phenomenon. Why it happens? It is because that the light of the sun falls on the moon. The light of the sun, it falls on the moon, and then the moon reflects the sunlight towards the earth, and so we can see the moon. Okay, so it is not the moon which is giving light, it is the moon that is reflecting the light of the sun, and hence it is a non-luminous object. So over here what we have learned, light is a form of energy that help us with the sensation of sight. Moreover, it is our eyes that help us to detect light from our surroundings. Our surroundings may have objects that can emit light of their own, are called luminous objects, and there are objects that does not emit light of their own but reflect the light of the luminous object, are called non-luminous object. Clear everybody? Now we are moving ahead. Now we know that there are some natural occurring objects like your firefly or some fish which lies in very deep into the ocean that emit light from their body. Okay, so that particular property by which an organism, due to some chemical reactions going inside their body, they produce light, is called bioluminescence. So we will have to come across a term which is bioluminescence. What is bioluminescence? Some organisms, they produce light. Some organisms emit light. Some organisms, they emit light due to some chemical reaction going through their body. Such phenomenon is called bioluminescence. We can say the example of your firefly. Okay, so these are some organisms that naturally, by some chemical reactions going on inside their body, they can emit light. So that particular property is called bioluminescence, or sometimes we call it chemoluminescence. This is because of some chemical reactions going on. Okay, Moreover, depending upon whether an object they pass light through them, or they partially allow the light to pass through them, or they do not allow the light, we divide objects into three categories. The first category is transparent object. What are transparent objects? You might know it from before. Then we have to know about translucent object. And then we will come across opaque object. Okay. Now what are these objects? Okay, we have learned about luminous object, non-luminous object. We have talked about bioluminescence. Okay, now let us talk about objects. Okay, objects are classified by the way they interact with light. Okay, some objects they completely allow light to pass through. Okay, completely allow light to pass through. Okay, like your say plain glass. Okay, there are many glass, we can see objects that are placed behind the glass. Okay, we call them as transparent, or we can say water is a transparent object, we can say air is transparent. Okay, moreover, when we come across the term translucent, Translucent, translucent object are the object that partially allow light to pass through them. Partially allow light to pass through. Okay, now we can talk about plastic. Okay, when you take a plastic, okay, like I can say now, see, you cannot see me very clearly, right, because of the plastic, but you can see something is there behind, right? A plastic is a translucent object that partially allows light to pass through. Okay, now a plastic, butter paper, they all partially allow light to pass through. But what are opaque objects? Do not allow light to pass through. So what are opaque objects? Opaque objects are the objects that do not allow the light to pass through them. Like we cannot see behind a wall. We cannot see behind a wall, or we cannot see behind a book, table. They are all opaque objects. They are all opaque objects. Now what are transparent, translucent and opaque objects? Transparent objects are the objects that completely allow light to pass through them, like plain glass, water and air. Transparent object, if kept between you and a particular object, you can see that object which is behind the transparent object very clearly. Okay, it is thus the light that which is coming from the object is totally passed through the transparent object, and hence you can see them clearly. But translucent object do not allow the light to pass through completely. They allow partially. That you have seen in case of the plastic. In case of plastic, you cannot see the clear picture. You can see a slight picture. You can just think of there is something object placed behind the translucent object. Okay, the object which partially allow light to pass through are called translucent object, or we can say plastic, butter paper. This type of objects, they partially allow light to pass through, is called translucent object. And opaque objects, objects that does not allow light to pass through them completely, or they do not at all allow light to pass through them, are called opaque objects. The examples are wall, book, table, etc. Now let us talk about the several properties of light. So when we talk about light that is coming from the sun to the earth, it approximately take 8 minutes to reach the particular earth. So by the distance between the earth and the sun, and we can find the particular speed of light. We can find the particular speed of light by calculating a particular distance between the earth and the sun, and also the time required for the light to reach the earth. Okay, so in accordance, when we calculate the speed of light, so in properties, first of all, we will learn that light travels at a speed of 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second in vacuum, and the speed of light differs in different medium. So what is the first property that we have learned? The speed of light in vacuum, that is the space between the earth's atmosphere and the sun. Okay, there is a empty space which is called vacuum, the absence of atmosphere. So the speed of light in the vacuum, when it travels from the sun to the earth, it has a speed of 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second. Okay, moreover, we have to know that other than vacuum, if the speed of the light enters the atmosphere, it has a change in their speed because of the different densities of substances or different density of the medium. So when light travels through water, it has a different speed. When light travels through your kerosene, it has a different speed because of the different densities. Okay, now we will come to the second property of light. The second property says that light always travels in a straight line. Light always travels in a straight line. Okay, now let us see how we can understand whether a light is traveling in a straight line or not. We are taking, for our assumption, we are taking a candle light. We are taking a candle light. Now we are taking 3 cardboards placed in front of the candle. We are taking 3 cardboards placed in front of the candle. Okay. And now we place our eye over here. Okay. Now, as these cardboards, all of them are opaque in nature, we cannot see the light of the candle from here. Okay, because we have 3 particular cardboards. Now, when we make a hole at a particular place such that the light from the candle goes through this hole, then enters the second hole, and then enters the third hole, then after reaching our eye. So, here we will see when we have the hole at the same place in the 3 cardboards, we can easily observe the light from behind the 3 cardboards. Okay, but as soon as this particular cardboard is moved, say, aside, such that now the holes does not come in a straight line, what we will observe that this light gets stopped till here. Okay, it does not go to the next cardboard. Suppose we have pulled the hole over here. So light that is coming from the candle now, it is coming through this hole and striking at a point here in the cardboard, and no farther light will go. So from this experiment we can say that light always travels in a straight line. We are repeating the experiment. Suppose we have taken a candle which is illuminated and we have taken 3 cardboards such that there are 3 holes in a straight line. There are 3 holes in a straight line in a manner such that the light coming from the candle reaches our eye, which is placed behind the 3 cardboards. Okay. Now we will observe that if this particular cardboard, if we just shift the cardboard towards left or right, okay, we will just displace the whole of the particular cardboard. Then after, this particular light will not be observed to flow in the later cardboard. This experiment shows us that light always travels in a straight line. Light always travels in a straight line. This property of light is also called rectilinear propagation of light. Rectilinear propagation of light. Okay. Okay. Now let us come to the next property. Okay. When we will be seeing the next property, we will observe that light have dual nature. Okay. Light sometimes behave as a wave. Light has dual nature. Sometimes it behaves as a wave, sometimes it behaves as a particle. Okay. Now we will be discussing this particular nature of light in details. Let us first recall this part. Properties of light include 3 main properties. The light speed in vacuum, it is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second in vacuum, and the speed of light is different in different medium. In the next property, we have observed that light travels in a straight line, which is also called rectilinear propagation of light. And in third one, we have learned that light has dual nature, one as a wave and the other as a particle.